Hey, good morning. What is happening? Happy Monday. Welcome back to the work week. Hobby Evolution, episode 1161. I bought some cards. I showed off some purchases from Saturday's Madison card show and yesterday's program. Only bought 3 cards, the whole show. All 3 were Cubs. 0 inventory purchased on Saturday, but a lot of inventory was purchased yesterday. I shared that I was having somebody bring some cards up, and I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect. I kind of had low expectations set. I think this weekend, for whatever reason, I was just setting the bar low on everything. I was setting myself up for failure on Saturday, setting myself up for disappointment on Sunday. So I bought some cards. I'll talk about the deal. I'll share and show off what I got. The cards. There we go. The cards. I've already listed. Did I list? I did list a couple. My wife was once on some work calls last night, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go downstairs and do some couch listing. Varsity Blues was on, man. So I listed just a couple cards from. I pulled out a box. I basically just wanted to look because I didn't really look through a lot of the boxes because there was enough in the first couple boxes. I'm like, okay, there's enough value here that I don't have to look at every single box. So I just wanted to grab a couple boxes, look through, and then I did list a couple cards from the couch watching Varsity Blues. Man, what a throwback. And it was kismet. That's an old word we don't use enough anymore. It was kismet. I get random, strange Facebook. It's not ads, but it's like, you might be interested in this. And I'm a sucker for 80s and 90s nostalgia when it comes to movies and TV. And just yesterday, one of those pop-up Facebook posts was about the movie Can't Hardly Wait. And somebody had posted, I've got the original t-shirt that Preston wore in the movie, and this is from the movie thing. Oh, that's pretty cool. But I really like reading the comments because it's very nostalgic, and I'm a very nostalgic person. And I remember the movie Can't Hardly Wait. I think it was released in 99 maybe. I was in high school. And I remember watching it. I remember renting the VHS. And in fact, I was with, I think the friend group I was with, we still text on like a daily basis. We've known each other since like preschool. And we had a couple, my friends, Brandy and Callie, they worked at Walmart. And there was another girl that was from Geneseo that they worked with. And she lived in kind of out in the country north of Geneseo. And we went to her house. Her like stepdad collected like carriages, like really like elaborate, like fancy, like carriages. It was really, I remember they had a huge like estate. I remember like walking around in their like storage, all these carrots. Like, what? But I collect baseball cards, so who am I to judge? But I remember that was what I remember about the movie Can't Hardly Wait, and it's just that is because I was a nerdy kid, and I'm a nerdy guy, and now I turned into a nerdy adult. So I think I can relate to the character in the movie Preston. And it's a great movie. So anyway, Varsity Blues was on last night. Varsity Blues. And also I remember Varsity Blues, which also came out in I think 1990. Great year for movies, at least in my opinion. But for nostalgia reasons, because you're like 17, it's like, hey, this is that's the time of your life. And I saw Varsity Blues in the theater. I was the third wheel. My friend Callie was dating my friend Jason, and I was always there. I was like the third wheel on their dates. So I was a third wheel, and we went and watched Varsity Blues in the theater. So a little nostalgia. Not much nostalgia in the cards that I bought, which is okay, because I don't really have much nostalgia anymore on baseball cards from my formative years, the junk wax era. Yes, Can't Hardly Wait with Jennifer Love Hewitt. She played Amanda Beckett in the movie. Great movie. Great. Just a fun movie. A fun movie. What else did I do yesterday? I swept out the garage. And I thought, and I didn't even think about this until like I was finished. But for some reason, I spend more time in my new garage because there's more space. That's probably the only reason. There's just more space. And so I have like cards, I've got tables in my garage, which came in real handy yesterday as we lug all these boxes out. And so there's like leaves. There's leaves all over the garage floor. And it's just like, oh, and I love and I hate cleaning. Oh, I hate cleaning. My wife's like, yeah. She's like, why do you hate it? You never do it. That's what my wife would say. Why do you hate cleaning? You don't clean. What? Which is true. But for whatever reason, I love cleaning the garage. But I only do it once a year. I do like around this time of year, once we start getting into the 70s, we get those 80-degree days, April or May. That's when I clear out the garage, get out the hose, spray it down, and get it all purty in there. And there's a lot. See, I never dealt with leaves in the old neighborhood because our last house was in a new neighborhood, like no established trees. We had a tree line in our back at the very edge of our backyard, but it was so far back, there wasn't that many, and it wasn't shedding that many leaves, so we would not get many leaves in our yard, certainly in our driveway. But in this neighborhood, this is a more established neighborhood, and there's a lot of trees, which I like trees. Trees are good. Trees are nice, but trees shed leaves, and I don't like the shedding of the leaves. But hey, that's life. So I'm out in the garage. I'm getting a couple tables set up, and I'm like, you know what? And Tim is who came up and sold me the cards. Tim was like 10, 15 minutes out. And I'm like, I've got some time. I got a broom. Might as well put myself to work. So I started sweeping. And I'm like, you know what? My wife's going to be thinking, you swept the garage waiting for baseball cards. And I'm thinking, maybe she thinks, well, maybe you should buy baseball cards more. If you're going to sweep the garage when baseball cards come over. So instead of like seeing all these baseball cards come in, she can associate me buying baseball cards with me sweeping out the garage. It's all head games. So garage got swept. So did that. Did a lot of shipping. Still I did a lot of shipping yesterday. Not as much. I had other things going on, so not as much shipping as I would have liked, but that's how it goes. But I have right now, and I shipped this morning. I got up early this morning and shipped, and still after shipping yesterday, Saturday night a little bit, Sunday, I have 373 orders, not cards, orders to ship. A lot of multi-card orders. Somebody had commented on Twitter, they're interested in me doing a video about me solving the algorithm. I did. Here's my problem. I want to do the video, but I don't want to jinx myself. And I thought like yesterday I mentioned it, and I'm like, I'm going to have like a shitty day in sales on Sunday. And I didn't. I actually had a really good day in sales. I had April may be. I'm looking at my it started actually, Jesus. No, my April, there's only one like truly below average day, and then one just slightly below average. Every other day has been above average. The month of April may be. April 2024, we're 21 full days in. April may be my best month ever on eBay. April 2024. And that's with volume and sales dollars. Because I'm selling a lot of cheap cards, but I'm also selling $20 cards, $30 cards. There hasn't been, I think, when did the Ichiro Red, that would have been February or March when that went into my sales. I think February, when Top Series 1 came out. So Heritage, I didn't have, what was the highest Heritage? I think $75 was my highest Heritage single card sale. So it's been a lot of, that's, certainly below $100 sales, in a lot of the, piddly $1.50, $2, but a lot of volume orders on that as well. So I do want to do a video. So maybe this week. I'm not going to do a sale this week. I teased a volume inventory sale a couple weeks ago. I teased it for last week, Madison Card Show week. I knew better. I should not have even said it. This week I told Brian, Offbeat All Stars was at the show on Saturday, and he's like, "Hey, if you need help, I'll come over Thursday." And I'm like, I'm looking at my eBay. I'm like, I don't think I can do a sale this week, because I still need to get boxes prepared for a sale, and I'm just overwhelmed with shipping. Not overwhelmed. I am almost overwhelmed. I think probably by Wednesday I'll be overwhelmed, because that's like when most of the shipments are due. So no sale this week. Hopefully next week, which is good. That I have all these orders to ship on eBay because money's coming in. It's not like I'm just, have other things going on that I can't do the sale. So, plus I have more inventory. The refractors in color box was popular last time we did the sale. I've already filled a 4-row box of refractors, and I think this collection that I bought yesterday is just filled with refractors and serial numbers. So I'll have, I might be able to fill 2 4-row boxes. So I might have 2 medium flat rate boxes of refractors and color in the next YouTube sale. I will have the non-sport available in the next sale. So we'll do a rookies and first Bowman box as well. So we'll hopefully next week we can do that. Let's go to the chat. Where we at? George in the house. What's up, George? Good evening to you. Maddie Ice is here. Good morning. Jay, what's happening? Good morning. Donald, what's up? Good morning to you. David's in the house. Victor, what's going on? Happy Monday. Donald, on vacation this week. Now, does that mean you'll be listing some cards on eBay? Or are you actually like going somewhere? Because sometimes, I talk to people who are like, I'm on vacation this week. I'm just going to list cards on eBay. Isn't that cool though? Like, isn't that like, that's cool to have something that you can make a hobby that you can make money on, that you vacation from. I don't know if that's what Donald's doing, but I certainly know some people that do that. AA Cards, good morning. Can't wait to hear the card buy. Is that your Lexus in the photo from the garage? No, I can't. I sell baseball cards. I drive a Ford. That is my wife's Lexus. She sells homes, and so she can afford a Lexus. I cannot. Good morning, Philly Joe. What's happening? Happy Monday. Kyle, good morning. Nick's in the house. He bought a monster box plus another 500 count box with 70s to 90s, about 1,000 Hall of Famers, 5 Yankees, 77 to 79, Burger King sets. Those are fun. I like those Burger King sets. And then Coca-Cola had some in the 81, I think. Good morning, Christian. What's happening? Nick says, also had a Happy Chandler signed Perez Steele, signed Duke Snyder postcard, a Rhino rookie, Ichiro for $40. How about that? What you just listed off more than paid $40 just in those 1, 2, 3, 4 items. Heck, the Ichiro rookies probably, I don't know what those sell, $40 probably. Speaking of when you say Ryan Sandberg rookies, I'm getting to the point now as I look over my Cubs, and I had this thought as I was going through one of the boxes, and it's like, oh, it was Seiya Suzuki base rookies. It's like, oh, sweet, another 10 Seiya Suzuki base rookies. I probably have 100 already. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna, because they were with Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez, O'Neal Cruz. It's like these are like easy $2, pop, 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 and it's like I don't need to keep all the Cubs anymore. But I still find myself. I was going through a box. I've just this was kind of one of the. So this was a 3-row shoebox, and so I'm pulling out like, okay, this is going to go in a quarter box. This is going to go on eBay. These are the refractors, and I don't think it looks like there's more refractors in there. This is in like 2 rows of a 3-row. All of these, all refractors. So, so we will have plenty of refractors in the next YouTube live sale. So I was thinking, and yesterday I showed off some of the Cubs pickups, and I rearranged you see my Ron Santo right there. Boom, right there. Ron Santo booklet relic auto. Put that in there, put the Jimmy Ryan Ginter in there, and the Bresnahan T206. And I noticed I had a bunch of T205 gold borders in my showcase, and I realized I had 2 Ed Rulebox in there, both T205. I'm like, okay, so that's the point where it's like I need to stop. I need to get my stuff cataloged, especially the pre-war stuff, so I don't like see a Joe Tinker. It's like, ooh, T206 Joe Tinker, that's a good price. Spend $100, $200, come home, it's like, oh, yeah, I already have one of these. So I need to avoid that. So I don't need 2 Ed Rulebox. I have another T206. I think it's Jimmy. Is it Pfeiffer? I can't remember who it is. But I have a T206 that I have duplicates of. And it's like this stuff I can liquidate, and I can move this. A Rulebox T205 and a 1, I might be able to get $100 on eBay. The T206 might get it slabbed $100. So, I have good stuff that I can move that I don't need duplicates of this stuff. Ryan Sandberg rookies. Do I need 50 of them? Maybe. It's Ryan Sandberg. Maybe I do. That's one of those where it's like, I don't know if I can sell a Sandberg rookie. I got a lot of them. I bought a bulk. My buddy Steve, awesome dealer. And I remind when I'm looking through the bargain boxes, I feel this is good marketing for Steve as a bargain box dealer. When I see a buddy looking at his boxes, I'm like, this is Steve. This is the dealer that I found the super short print Ronald Acuna out of his quarter box. And so I think that's good marketing for him. Like, ooh, maybe I'll find a super short print in his quarter box. But I bought from Steve a 5-row of Cubs, and there was a lot of good stuff in there. And there was like 25 like in-person autos of Andre Dawson and Fergie Jenkins. And I've seen enough of them. They look legit. And I think he charged me like $200 for the entire 5-row box. And I'm like, heck, for the 20 Fergie and Andre, those are Hall of Fame autos. So like $200 for 20 of those, that's what, $10 a pop. The rest is gravy. So do I need all of them? No. But those are things, it's like they're not authenticated. It's like, do I want to sell these not authenticated? Do I want a chasing cardboard moment selling Andre Dawson autos? I don't think I want to do that. So I don't know. Maybe they'll just stay in my collection. Because it's also like, what's an authenticated Dawson rookie going to sell for? Is it worth sending in to get slabbed authentic? I don't know. Maybe somebody does have an answer, though. Mark, good morning. Watched my favorite baseball movie Saturday night, The Bad News Bears, the original from '76. I don't know if I've ever seen that. It's one of those movies. Do you have those movies that you feel like you've seen 100 times, but you've probably never watched it? That's The Bad News Bears. Because people talk about it. You see it all, you see it mentioned in baseball movie conversations. So you just feel like you've seen it. But when I think about it, I don't know if I've ever seen it. I don't, and I probably certainly have never seen it from start to finish. Maybe I need to sit down and watch Bad News Bears. Mark says, can't hardly wait, starring Jennifer Love Hewitt. Hubba Hubba. Fun fact, Jennifer Love Hewitt was on Kids Inc. That was a good show. I liked Kids Inc. Who else was on Kids Incorporated? There was a few stars on that, right? Kids Incorporated. I remember that show. Kids Incorporated. Let's look it up. Kids Incorporated. Fergie. That's what. Martika. Remember Toy Soldiers? Let's see. So we had original cast, Renee Sands and Stacey Ferguson. Fergie. Who was Renee? I don't know who Renee Sands is. Renee Sands. Better known by her stage name, Renee Sands. Oh, Renee Sandstrom. Oh, she was from Wild Orchid. They had like one hit. They were like in that boy or teeny bopping bands groups. They were all female group, Wild Orchid. I think they had one hit. Who else? Martika, Toy Soldiers fame. Oh, Mario Lopez was on Kids Incorporated. Eric Balfour looks familiar. I don't know what he's been. Oh, he was Eddie on OC. I hated that guy. Jennifer Love Hewitt. Brian Friedman. More of a choreographer. Brian Poth. Not much going on in his world. Whoa, he was on CSI Miami as Tyler Jensen, which I'm a big fan of the CSI shows. I think Miami might be one of my favorites, but what's his name? The main character on that just kind of he's so dramatic. Everything he says. What's that guy's name from CSI Miami? Now I got to Google it. I bet people are typing like, oh, you dumbass. Look at the chat. CSI Miami. David Caruso. And he, fun fact, Jennifer Love Hewitt was on Kids Incorporated. David Caruso. Todd Richardson, what's up? Good morning. The only issue with Varsity Blues is no teenage boy turns down the whipped cream bikini. I know, right? But here's the thing. As I watch back, and that's what I was thinking as 17-year-old Bo in 1999. As 41-year-old Bo in 2024, I'm watching this back, and I'm like, John Moxon was like this squeaky clean, good boy, and he's going to the convenience store and buying condoms. Like, I didn't see that out of Mox as an adult. Like, I'm surprised, like, because he had this good old boy and he was dating, like it didn't, I don't know. I don't think that storyline works in 2024. I'm surprised, but that's maybe just adult Bo thinking out loud. So I was surprised. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a scene that really, like, of all the scenes, looking back, and I've seen Varsity Blues like many times over the years, but last night watching it, when he goes to the convenience store and he's got, his little brother, who I think committed suicide a few years ago. Kyle was the character's name. I don't know the actor's name, but he's in the convenience store and he actually buys the condoms for his big brother, Johnny Moxon. But I was surprised by that. It's like, I don't know if that storyline would, maybe it would. Maybe I'm just an old prude now. I don't know. Mikey's in the house. Third wheel with them. Do you mean like threesome? Confused what a third wheel. It wasn't a threesome. No, it was not a threesome. A third wheel on a date means there's a couple that are dating. So in this instance, and I'm using real life names. Sorry, Callie. Sorry, Jason. They are both now happily married with children with other people. So they were dating, and I was not dating anybody because I was a nerd. And so I was a third wheel. And it's just a saying, like when you join a date between two people on a date, you are the third person on the date. You are a third wheel. That could result in a threesome. In my instance, it did not. And I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I am certainly okay with that. George says, speaking of 1999, nostalgia and having the time of your life at 17. Good Riddance by Green Day was still going well at that time. Yes. There were some iconic, if you're of my age, and especially like right at my age, 41, 42, I entered high school as a freshman when Verve Pipe's The Freshman. I always get that confused. That's a hard one because it's not the Verve Pipe. It's just Verve Pipe. But the name of the song is not Freshman. It's The Freshman. Verve Pipe, The Freshman. That was hitting the charts when we were freshmen. And then our senior, going into our senior year was Vitamin C's graduation song, Friends Forever, which, man, if that doesn't hit you in the feels, you have no feelings. That hits me every time I hear that. I think that song, Vitamin C, Friends Forever graduation song, supremely underrated. That should be every May. You should hear that song. That song should be hitting the charts every May. So every senior in high school, senior in college can listen to that song because it's true. And like you listen to the lyrics and it's like shit, especially in hindsight. Like when you're 17, you're like, oh, I'm going to be young forever. And all of your friends, we're going to be friends forever. And that just doesn't happen. Now, I'm fortunate that my best friends from high school, we are still really close today. 4 of them came to watch me throw the first pitch at Wrigley Field 2 weeks ago. So I'm very fortunate that, we've known each other since we were like 4 years old, 3 years old. So, but that's not the case. Like my wife doesn't know, and I went to a small school. Like half of my graduating class still lives within a 20-minute drive of our high school. My wife, who's 25th, my wife's 25th reunion is this summer. And I'm like, oh, let's go. Cause I know a couple of her classmates and, went to a Cub with one of them. Joe went to a Cubs game with him a few years ago. But she's like, no, and my wife hates like events and like talking to people, but she's in real estate. And I'm like, let's go. I want to go to I love reunions. I love mine. I wish we missed our 20 because of freaking COVID. It's like, let's just but every Anawan Fun Days. And I'm excited. My cousin is leading up his high school reunion from, like, he's older. He's much older. Tim. When did he graduate? 84, I think. So it's his 40th. Yeah. So, but he's like, so he posted on like our high school alumni page, like, hey, but we want every class to come get together. It's like, I'll crash that party. Hell yeah. It's Anawan Fun Days, man. Nostalgia. It's Nostalgia Monday on Hobby Evolution. 1999, I was 31 and engaged to my ex. Good time. Mark wants to forget 1999. George says, by solving the algorithm, you mean you went to Arizona for spring training for 4 weeks and closed office, so not as many bought. They're catching up now. So in that, I thought, see, that hasn't been the case the last 2 years. That has not been the case for the last 2 years. So no, that is not solving the algorithm because we all complain when our sales are down. Like, oh, there's something with the algorithm. We always complain, myself included, like something's not right. But we know we have a set number. If you've been doing it long enough, you kind of know, here's the range. I sell from this amount to this amount, this dollar amount to this dollar amount. There's going to be down days. It's sales. There's always going to be down days. There's always going to be up days. But over the course of time, it all kind of equals out. It's like baseball. It's like a batting average. It's April 22nd in baseball. There's some guys hitting like Jackson Holiday. Perfect example. He's 1 for 21 or something. I don't know. He's only got one hit in his first how many ever games. He's going to figure it out. He's Jackson Holliday. And that's kind of how sales works. It'll regress to the mean. And I always wanted to have a spike in sales so I can, and this is now, it's been 3 weeks of accelerated sales. Now, certainly, and I'm not comparing this to March, I'm comparing this to previous months because March is an anomaly because I'm at spring training for 2 weeks. But these numbers that I've had over the last 3 weeks are higher than what I experienced before. And I think there's a direct correlation with an eBay statistic, but I want to do that on a separate video. What is the secret sauce to solving the eBay algorithm? And did I solve it? I'd like to hear your thoughts when I produce, like I'm going to produce a video, when I hit record on a video. Nick says, anyone need any Topps Fleer Donruss from 80 to 85? Have a bunch from this weekend's pickup. Dan's in the house. What's going on? Kyle says, I hope a Goodwill pallet with a lot of NASCAR shows up again soon. Last Goodwill pallet, I think there was a small pile of like just a small little 20 cards maybe, and that was it. No NASCAR. No binders. The binders had just random sports, football, baseball, basketball, maybe a little hockey. Donald's going to list some cards on eBay this week. Baseball card curmudgeon in the house. What's happening? Good morning. Harlan is here. Good morning. Peter, what's up? Happy Monday. Uncle Rich is here. Good morning. He likes the like percentage on YouTube as well. Pitching batting average ratio right now. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Mark says you have to watch the uncut version. They could never show it today. The uncut, is that Bad News Bears or Varsity Blues? Shane, good morning. Horatio. Yes, that was his name. Yeah. David Caruso played the character Horatio. So dramatic, that Horatio. Steve got D morning. Oh. Happy Monday. How do you like the new Pearl Jam album? I bought it. Yeah, I didn't even know it came out until somebody in the chat mentioned it on Friday. So I downloaded, I bought it from iTunes and only the second album I've ever bought on whatever you call streaming or a platform, iTunes. The only other album I have purchased from iTunes, Post Malone, the last album he released. It's okay. So with music, there's really not too many songs across the board. And I think I hold Pearl Jam in such high esteem that I don't instantly like any new Pearl Jam songs because I love all of their old, but eventually I will come around. So I've only listened to the album once. And I listened to it. I am not, and I have a friend who is a big audio nerd. So he is to audio and headphones as I am to baseball cards. And he can sit down in a recliner and put on a freaking $1,000 pair of headphones. It's like, what? Like, that's more expensive than I thought. Beats were expensive. Like, man. Up until I got a pair of Beats, I was buying like $20 Sony headphones. This guy's buying $500 to $1,000 headphones. Jesus. Anyway, but he says the same about you spent $400 on a baseball card. So I can't do that. I can't sit down. He can sit down in a recliner, put his headphones on, and just listen to music. And it's like therapeutic. And I can't do that. Maybe I should try it sometime. Maybe when I lay down on I need to get on the Shakti mat. I've done a lot of lifting cardboard boxes and tables and chairs the last few days. I should get on I haven't been on the Shakti mat. And I can do that. I can put my headphones on, lay on the Shakti mat, and I'll listen to the Pearl Jam album again. But yeah, I liked it. Didn't love it, but that's how I am. That's just how I am. It's not a reflection on the actual music. It's a reflection on my shitty musical opinions. Dark matter. Sheena's in the house. What's up? Good morning. He's on his way to get his wife's car oil changed. Didn't feel like doing it. Sheena's not a man either. Sheena, you and I, we're not manly men. We don't change our own oil. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one. ATL Picker, David Caruso. Thank you. Rich says, you had me at JLH. Jennifer Love Hewitt. I'm like, what's JLH? Jennifer Love Hewitt. George says, that was just low libido. I still think with both heads. Christian's in the house. Bad News Bears, very eye-opening language today for a PG movie. That said, I love that movie. Interesting. Mikey had never heard of Third Wheel before. You are welcome. Christian, good morning. I just said good morning. I just showed one of his others. I'm just on autopilot, I guess. Verve Pipe, seen them many times. East Lansing Legends. Do they have any other songs besides The Freshman? I know they have other songs. Do they have any other hits, I guess, is more the question. Good morning, Stuke. What's up? T206 kid, what's happening? Little younger than you, but a lot of what you talk about nostalgia-wise hits me. And I think you don't have to be exactly 40, 41, 42. You can be, 40, 37? Are you 37, 38? I think there's like a range. Like you're in like this between like 4 or 5 years. There's like some overlapping. Duke says, good morning. I enjoyed wasting my weekend, adding some junk wax into binders and sleeving anything 50 cents and higher. TCDB is my friend. Love trading card database. I need to get more active on trading card database. Shane says, if you didn't keep it a secret so long, we could have had a hobby evolution section for the first pitch. There you go. Did I keep it? Well, I didn't know. And I probably should have just asked my contacts at Topps, like, hey, what can I say? I didn't. I'm just like, I'll tease it. Andy Mack says, Semisonic Closing Time came out in the spring of my senior year. Another great song. I remember that song and I think it seemed to come on more than it probably actually did. It's just one of those things that it's like, this song always plays when I'm closing because I worked at a grocery store, the IGA in Anawan, and we would close at 9 p.m. And it just seemed like at 9 p.m. closing time would always play on the radio. And it was usually like at 9 I could change the radio station because we weren't supposed to play certain radio stations in the played throughout the grocery store. We had to like mix 96, like all this like Celine Dion crap. What else was on? But every once in a while there'd be a crossover that was like a top 40 song that they'd play on the mix station. It's like, but at closing time, I could switch it over to Power 98.9. Actually, I think at that time it was All Hit 98.9 or B100. And B100 was like, they had like a rap. You don't play that rap stuff on the grocery store. B100. So I would play that at closing time. Keith, what's going on? Good morning. I graduated in 2003, and the song that hits me in the fields is Here's to Tonight, Eve 6. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. See, it's that overlapping because I remember that not to be, I didn't graduate in 2003, but I was in college in 2003. So we have similar, like, I think if you're in high school at the time, if you're in college at the time, it's in those like nostalgia years of your mid-teens to late teens into your early 20s. And it's just that range. And yes, Eve 6, I'm not going to sing. James, what's going on? Bought a wrestling lot of about 3,000 cards. 80s and 90s wrestling nerds are crazy with the low ball offers. I don't really get low ball offers is probably, I don't know. The percentage is probably the same that I get. But I have noticed, and again, this is probably just whenever it happens, it's highlighted in my brain. I feel like wrestling card buyers on eBay are the most impatient. They're the ones that will bitch about card savers instead of, you didn't send this in a hard case, a top loader. I sent them in card savers. I had a Topps Heritage wrestling card that the person wanted a refund because it was scratched. And I'm like, can you send me a picture? They sent me a picture. I'm like, there's no scratch on this card. Well, it's not going to gem, which you're going to get that on any, you get some of those buyers, but, and I don't sell as many wrestling cards. I seem to get I feel like basketball is where I get the most low ball. And I shouldn't say the most, just the highest percentage, I guess. What's that bird doing? Is that a robin? Hey, there's my robin friend. Hi. I wonder if she's looking to build a nest. She's just kind of hanging out there. That nest, I think, is unoccupied now. Reunions are a thing of the past, which is why schools are combining reunions. And I think that's the case. So in my I'm surprised we haven't combined reunions in my small town. And my graduating class was 35 people. 35 people. And we actually have you have 35 people. You're going to have, when 3/4 of them live within a half an hour away, you're going to have good attendance. But we have not done combined reunions. Sometimes we will, there will be, and what I find, it's usually like classes from like the 80s, or usually it's classes that had a lot of overlapping friendships. I don't think a lot of my class, we weren't really close with any of the neighboring classes. Like, we're friendly with the class of 99 or the class of 2001. But it's not like it's maybe like a couple. Yeah, we're friends with a couple here, a couple there. But I've noticed like some of my older relatives, my sister, my brother, their classes from the 80s, they'll do combined. Sometimes they'll do combined, like 83 and 84, or whatever. So I think when I was in Macomb, I think they did like every 5 years would have a reunion in Macomb. And I think it was kind of like the all school, whatever. And so it was like the class of, what's this year, 2024. So like 74, 84, 94, 2004 reunions are this year. But we don't, for being a small, basically we have, and usually the reunions are centered around, in Macomb, it's during Heritage Days, which is the end of June. Anawan, it's Fun Days, the beginning of June. And that's when the reunions, because people are coming back for Anawan Fun Days. It's just when everybody comes back. It's like, it's homecoming, but not during the school year for the actual homecoming. But yeah, we don't do combined, and we have what's kind of like, and this probably varies by region, even by school. My class, we do reunions every 5 years, which is pretty uncommon. I think most, it's every 10 years. The only exception is 2020 was our 20th, and obviously that was during COVID, so everything was shut down, so we didn't do a 20th reunion. And we had talked about doing one, delaying it to the next year, and then COVID was still kind of fucking with us, so we just like scrapped it all together. But like half of us, we see half the class at Anawan Fun Days anyway, so it's not really a formal thing. Nick skipped my 25th this summer. Bummer. See, I'm going to hit up every class reunion that I can. Unless like if I'm traveling or whatever. Good. Was I traveling one year? Did I? No, I hit every reunion. We were just talking about, what's up, Flood Thinker? Good morning. We were talking about this because some of my high school friends that came to the game, we were talking about, I was talking to my buddy Scott because it was funny. Our 5-year reunion, you're what, 22? It's just a shit show. You're just getting hammered. People are passing out and puking. It's just a shit show. Your 10-year reunion, so that was my 5-year. My 5-year was just a complete, everybody's just getting hammered. My 10-year reunion, everybody's having babies, like newlyweds, and we had our first baby. We got to go back to see our baby. And it's like moms doing mom things, and it's like 10 o'clock and the reunion's over. So me and my buddy Scott, like we were still single guys in what year was our 2010, right? 2010. We had our 10-year reunion in the next town over, Atkinson. It was Nobby's at the time. It's Gordo's now. So we had it at Nobby's, and good pizza, by the way. Still good pizza under Gordo. And it's like 10 o'clock and it's like the reunion's over. Like all the moms have to go back and talk to their babies or something. So like, this sucks, man. So we come back and we go to my house, hang out on the deck, drink beer. It's like 11. We're like, dude, we're fucking old. And we were 27. Now to go back, it's like now we're approaching our 25th reunion. It's like, man, we should have like lived it up more at our 10th reunion. We should have like gone somewhere instead of my parents' deck and drink Busch Light. Our 15, and then our 15 was another shit show. One of my friends, I won't name names this time, but one of my friends got kicked out of the bar for being too drunk and stupid. And it's like everybody's, because at that point, like you're 5-year, you're just out of college, you're getting hammered, drunk. You're 10-year, you've settled in, you've got babies to go home to, you're doing the mom and dad thing. You're 15-year, you've had enough of the mom and dad thing. You want to get the hell away from your kids and have a good time. So we'll see what our 25-year brings next year. Johnny Boy, good morning. Happy Monday. Mark says the Bad News Bears, the trailer is on YouTube when the team first meets Tatum O'Neal's character. Max says, what are a couple Pearl Jam songs? I'm sure I've heard them plenty, but couldn't tell you one. See, my wife said the same thing before our first Pearl Jam concert together. And she's like, I've heard of Pearl Jam, but I don't know any of their songs. And I'm like, oh, you know, like all of their songs. And she's like, no, I don't know any of their songs. So I played Jeremy, which is probably their biggest radio hit. And she's like, oh, yeah, I like this song. And then I played Daughter. And she's like, oh, I like this song too. And then I played like, I don't know, Brother. She's like, oh, I like this song too. And I'm like, yeah, you probably like all of them. And now she's like, when we go to Europe, she's like, it's Pearl Jam, because we've talked about trying to do a Pearl Jam concert in Europe. This year it won't match up to our trip. And it hasn't in the past either. But Pearl Jam. So Jeremy spoke in class today. What up? The Yellow Ledbetter's a good one. Elderly Woman Behind the Counter in a Small Town is a great song. Listening to me try to sing is an injustice. So just Google it. Max says, I'd have a hard time sitting and doing nothing but listening to music too. Yeah, I've got to be doing something. Like I can't even watch TV and just focus on TV. Like I've got to like list cards on eBay. There's got to be something. I've got to scroll Twitter. I don't know. I've got to do two things at once. Shane says, I can never understand how people can do that. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't get it. Changing your own oil is barely worth it anymore. Last time I priced it out, it was like 10 to 15 more. I'm not getting dirty for that. See, I just can't do it. You know what Kant did? Kant did shit. That's what one of my PE teachers said in high school. Zach and Porter in the house. Good morning. Andy says, I need to hear new Pearl Jam albums live before I start really loving them. Wrigley this summer will be shows 27 and 28. I'm only going to the one show, so I'm going to Saturday's show. I still got to get tickets. I have to overpay on StubHub. This will be I'm like a rookie. 1, 2, 3. I think this is only my 5th or maybe 6th Pearl Jam concert. I think 5th. I think it's only my 5th. This year will be my 5th. Good morning, Brian. What's happening? Max says, I had a hard time watching the Bucks last night without pricing out cards. Yeah, it's even hard for me to watch sports and focus, unless it's like a really tight game at the end. Like if it's a March Madness game and it's tight, the last couple minutes, then I'll pay attention to the game. But otherwise, it's a hard watch for me. Anything's hard watch. Good morning, Paul Carl in the house. Shane says, yeah, you're watching basketball. Max says, nothing wrong with basketball, especially playoff basketball. Don't miss a game. Christian says, Photograph is the other popular Verve Pipe song. Value Box Digger says, 2003, those kids are turning legal drinking age now. Yeah, think about that. When we graduated, when most of us graduated high school, the kids born, and I see kids in the bar. And this has been going on for a few years now, because I started working at the grocery store in 97. So 2003, they turned 21. So 6 years, 6 years. Like I remember so-and-so, that's a famous old people saying, oh, so-and-so. When so-and-so walked in pregnant, and now what was in her belly when I was working at the grocery store is now drinking a beer at the bar. I find that still today. I'm like, man, I remember when your mom had you in her belly. That's weird. And now you're just drinking beer at the bar. Shane says playoff basketball is much better. I can't do regular season NBA. I can't even do playoff basketball NBA. I don't know. I've tried multiple times to get back into the NBA, and it works for a little bit sometimes, but it's I just can't do it. Brian says, since I listed my 24 Heritage cards on eBay Friday night, I sold 17 cards. 2 were not Heritage cards. Not sure if the algorithm helped me or not. Well, you've only got 2 days you've only got 2 days of work. But I hadn't sold a card all week until then. Very small sample size, very short sample period. Give it some time. And I don't know how many 24 Heritage cards you listed. So that's a little peek into my secret. However, I will say the 2024 Topps Series 1 did not trigger sales for me. Topps Big League did not trigger sales for me. I don't think Topps Heritage is triggering sales for me, but I think they all may have something in common. Max says, stop watching the Pacers or Trae Young, James Harden basketball. Was this Topps Heritage card you sold a base, or did it have some value? If I don't know if you're talking to me, my highest Heritage sale was a error card, Cole Reagan's Error. That was a $75 sale. I don't know what my highest auto sale might have been. $30. Relics, I didn't even list a couple of the relics because they're probably just going in a $1 box. Not worth putting on eBay. But a lot of small sales, a lot of bulk or volume, quantity sales on Heritage. Stuke says Timberwolves have been fun to watch this year. Zach and Porter says maybe the wrestling card collector complaints are fake, like the action entertainment soap opera they watch. Could be. Bob Hosta, what's up? I sell quite a few uncertified autos in my store. Generally, people don't mind buying uncertified stuff of guys like Dawson and Jenkins who sign a ton. That's a really good point that Bob brings up. And I do sell uncertified autographs, but they're typically like $3. When I bought a bunch of stuff from my last deal at the National last year, it had hundreds of, in-person minor league autos. I'll put them in my store for $2, $2.50. And who's going to fake a John Smith Savannah Braves card? So I'll put that in. Put that in my store. Fergie and Dawson, it's like at first I thought about it. It's like, I probably don't want to do that. But now that you say, yeah, Dawson and Jenkins sign a ton. I mean, they are, Fergie might be, it's Bob Feller, Stan Musial, and Fergie Jenkins and Pete Rose. Like, certainly. I went back one time and I just did a random eBay sold search on like Pete Rose autograph, Bob Feller autograph. And it's amazing how many are out there. Stuke had 22 in his senior class. Wow. One of the larger classes 35 was one of the largest classes in my school. In fact, it might have been 35 might have been the largest class in like a 20-year period. So yeah, and it's I think the classes now are in the 20s, and there may be a class of like 22. Curious what the class size is at Anawan High School now. Shane says, don't watch the up and down Pacers, nor do I watch Trae Young, and I have never been a fan of James Harden. Flawed Thinker won an awesome 2018 Bowman Glaber Torres Orange Auto PSA 9 for $32 last night. He's not the best, but who cares? Was he still, he was 20? Oh, he was Yankees by then. Let me tell you what I paid for. I took it out of I was sick of looking at it because I know how much I paid for it. I think I paid $450 for my first Bowman Chrome base auto of Glaber Torres in like a BGS 9. Not cool. Mark says, I'm still close to a few high school friends. The majority of friends I'm still close to are from college. George says, I do miss dropping by a high school homecoming game like I used to. It was fun to see all the old crew. It is fun. I think I missed the homecoming game this year, but I went last year. And it was fun. Let's see. Oh yeah, it was not this past. It was not 20. It was 2022, and because I came back for I just took a Friday off. I drove down. The homecoming parade goes by my mom's house, so watched the parade. Had some cousins at the house for the parade, and then just hung out. Went to the football game. John says there's a girl in North Dakota who was the only graduating senior. What's the reunion plan there? Party of one. I could not wait to get out of school. Steely Dan said it best. And John and I differ in so many ways. I'm the journey guy. John's the destination guy. When it came to school, I could not wait to get. I hated school until I got to be like a junior, and then it's like, man, I'm having a lot of fun. Like even though the school sucks, like school work sucks. I loved the socialness. Socialness is, I don't know if that's a word. So I love the social part of school. I loved the school spirit and going to games and all that stuff. So then I did have a lot of like, oh man, my senior year, it's like, oh man, this is all coming to an end. And I'm glad I did feel that way, because looking back now, it's like, those were some of the best times of your life, when you're young and dumb and carefree. So I'm glad I did appreciate it at the time, and took advantage. Brian says, dinner alone for that one class of one. Mark went to his 10th. That's when I knew I have enough. Most people seem to not like their high school reunions. My mom didn't go to a high school reunion until I think which was ironic, because my mother-in-law did not go back to one of her high school reunions until her 40th or maybe 50th. I'm trying to think. It was one of the more recent ones. For our parents, it might be 50th. And because my mother-in-law went to school in Pittsburgh, so she went back and went to the reunion. She's like, had a great time. And she's like, I'm going to go back. My mom had not gone to any high school reunion until her 50th. Actually, I think my mom went to, maybe it was their 40th. Might have been the 40th, because my mom's been doing, so once she went to her 40th, she's like, that was a lot of fun. And she got back together, and she has like regained friendships with a lot of her high school friends. And like twice a month they get together, like, and it's a small crew for like the monthly things. But my mom like reaches out, and my mom's like not a planner, but she like planned these, like, oh, we're going to get together at this cafe on Friday. And so yeah, once you go, but I get it. Not everybody enjoyed the school aspect and all that came with it. Karl Anthony Towns, I believe, has the most punchable face in the NBA now, says Shane. George says legs spread out before ... Nick says our 10th was pretty wild in NYC. Mark says all the nerds became millionaires and had hot wives. The asshole jocks were in terrible marriages. That's like a movie script. I was dating a girl I should have married. Nick says most were not married, or those who were didn't have kids yet. And I think that probably says a lot to where we grew up. I grew up in a rural farming community, and you graduate high school, go off to college, get married, have kids, like boom, boom, boom. Like by the time you're 25, like, I mean, shit, some of my nephews have, grandkids and they're younger than me. And I feel like in more urban areas, you wait, it's not a race to have kids. Max says, just tried to listen to 3, didn't recognize and sounded like the same thing as that Dave Matthews garbage. Max with another terrible take. Shane says, Bo, you have been to more Pearl Jam concerts than I've been to concerts in general. And I'm not a concert goer. I'm not a big concert goer. Collectible investments. Good morning. Marlins won a game. Sorry. Yeah. Cubs did not win. Boo. NBA sucks, says John. He also says the NHL sucks. And John, happy Monday. He thinks MLB sucks. And NFL is getting really close to sucking. Value Box Sigger says NBA sucks now with all that in-season tournament crap. Sales of cards reflect that NBA is crap. Let's see. My basketball card sales suck, but I also don't list basketball cards, so I think there's a correlation. John wants to know what hath happened to sports. Shane thinks the NHL is awesome. Max says NFL is the worst of those 4 by a long shot. Now, I mean, I guess it's subjective on how we're grading what's worst, what's best. In terms of my enjoyment, I would say, okay, here's how I'm gonna. In terms of what I watch and what I enjoy, MLB is number 1, NFL is number 2, and then NBA and NHL, it's not available because I don't watch either of those. Gun in my head, I'll say NBA is number 3. Based on how I think the leagues market themselves, I think NBA is by far number 1. I think NFL is number 2, MLB number 3, NHL number 4, and maybe NHL is better than MLB in that part because I don't pay attention. But when it comes down to marketing, NBA has it down. I wish Major League Baseball would take a page, and you know what? I'm gonna put NHL ahead of MLB because of the fucking blackout rules, and I'm sure that affects NHL too. But that blows. Paul says Africa Star League is only good professional league. Christian wants to know, anyone have any sources of oddball cards out of the main sources? eBay, Beckett, ComC. The only one I could add would be Sport Lots. John says, Shane, you may be correct. I'm not a hockey guy, so I apologize. And Shane accepts. John says the reason F1 Doc was such a hot was because most of us are getting sick of the sports we grew up on. But it didn't last. The F1 craze did not last. I think the F1 craze was just, I think it was a perfect F1. Go back to that. I think F1 was the perfect storm. It was during COVID, and everything was hot. And oh my God, there's cards and now I don't think anybody pays attention to F1 anymore because the cards don't sell anymore. Well, I'm sure they still sell. They don't sell as well as they did in 2021 or 2022. Shane says, I missed that it was an error card that you sold. I thought dude was trying to send a base heritage back because it wouldn't gem. Oh, no. Oh, we were talking about 2 different things. The wrestling card with a scratch was just a $1.50 card. It was just a random base WWE heritage card with a scratch. It was like $1.50. I thought you were talking about my heritage baseball sales. John says, when you need to pump betting on games to make them interesting, there may be an issue. Mark says, want to feel old. I sold suits to a friend's son for his wedding. I still think he's 9 years old. Now he's tying the knot. Yep. Shane says, that's where I'm at with the NBA. It's still hard to watch. John says, the last domino to fall for me was NCAA. That is now a shit show. It is, and it's now just I mean, this is a completely different topic that can go way off the rails. I'm okay with where we're at with NCAA men's basketball. And I'm a Badger fan. We lost Connor Sejan. He's going to Nebraska. We lost AJ Storr to Kansas. We're now losing Chucky Hepburn. I don't know where he's going, but he's transferring out. And it's all because of money. I'm okay with that. The NCAA for decades has treated student athletes as professionals, and they haven't been compensated for it yet. Now they can get compensation. NCAA, you created this mess, which maybe that's why it sucks. But I'm okay with it. Now the kids, the student athletes, they're just giving the NCAA a dose of their own medicine. Now we can make money. You open up the transfer portal. Wisconsin doesn't have enough NIL in their bank account. We're going to Kansas. We're going to Nebraska. They can pay us. I don't feel bad. Mark says the NFL is heading toward WWE territory. Shane says, holy smokes, I had like 400 in my class. John says, my son's graduating in a class of 8,000 in high school? Jesus. I think the largest high school in Illinois that's got to be like the largest high school in America. I think Berwyn Cicero Morton? I think is the largest high school in Illinois. And is it under Berwyn? Berwyn Cicero Morton. It's got less than 8,000 in the entire school. So it's got about 2,000. So the largest high school in Illinois, and maybe it's not the largest anymore, but it's certainly up there. I think it's still the largest. So its enrollment is 7,758. So you're looking at like 2,000 per class. Kyle says, don't send uncertified autos to Beckett. Yeah, screw that. They will take your money and send them back uncertified. Dan says, I won Chicago White Sox 2023 Topps Archives team history box topper for $10. Nice. Paul graduated 400 something in my high school class. So there was probably like 425 people in it. Flawed Thinker says a Glaber 2018 Bowman Chrome Orange Auto sold the other day for $250. So I'll pay $32 all day for the non-chrome version. Heck yeah. John says, I like to say I graduated with 330 plus 14. There were 14 pregnant girls in my senior class. Holy crap. You know, that's the funny thing. Growing up in a small town, you get pregnant early, kind of like in John's case in his city. We didn't have, not only did we not have any teen pregnancies in my graduating class, I don't think any of the girls in my class, there was one, got pregnant in college. There was one because in their son, actually, they were high school sweethearts and they're still together. They're married today with like 4 kids. Their oldest is, I think, 21. Does that make sense? Yeah. Holy shit. I think he turned 21 already. So yeah, they got pregnant in like 2002 or yeah, that would make sense if he's turning 21 this year. Dan says, I'm picturing Bo being the class clown. I was voted most mischievous. I don't know if we had a class. I lost my high school yearbooks. I think I left them in a storage shed at my house in Macomb. And then I told my property manager when I was renting it out, I'm like, I don't need anything that's in the shed. Because it'd been like 3 or 4 years. I'm like, if I haven't had it by now, I don't need it. And it's like, shit, I think my yearbooks were in there. So they're long gone. But I was most mischievous in my class. I don't know if we had a class clown. I don't think I would have got class clown because we had a lot, like half of the boys in my class were class clowns. But I was most mischievous. Dan didn't care for his high school experience, so never cared about reunions or keeping in touch with any of them. John says, I was in a room with about 50 guys this past Saturday night where I had more in common than the people I graduated with. It was easier talking to those guys than it was to classmates at my 20th. Yeah, and I think, I don't really have much in common with with my high school friends, but nostalgia, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I find I just find commonalities. And small talk, I don't like small talk, but it's still like, I don't know. Nick says, I went to 5, 10, 15, and 20. 10 had the best attendance. 20 was decent. Kind of had enough by then. Facebook has killed the mystery. And our 10 in 2008, Facebook was just starting. I think our 5-year had the most attendance. We only missed I think only 3 or 4 didn't come to our 5-year. Our 10-year was really low attended. Our 15 was probably higher attended. And then, we didn't have a 20. Good morning, Porter. What's happening? Bradley, good morning. Will you ever come to a card show in Green Bay? I have been to a card show. I did the very first KI show. I'm kind of set in my ways. I like doing the Rockford, Janesville, and when I set up in Madison. It's just Green Bay's. It's what, 2 hours, 2.5 maybe, from where I'm at. So maybe one of these days, we'll see. John says Mark is right. Most of the BMOC in high school turned out to be ditch diggers. Don't peak too early. That's Hall of Famer Dave Matthews. Yeah, take that. For me, it's a large expense to go to a reunion, so that solves the issue. And that's another thing. Yeah, it's just a fairly short drive, 2.5 hours to get to my reunion. Value Box Digger says, you don't list basketball because it doesn't sell. If it sold, you would list it. There's some truth in that. But I think if I did list more, I would sell more. But I don't know. Some of the stuff just doesn't sell. It's funny. You can list a Mike Trout for $2 and it sells all day. You can list a Ja Morant, Luka Doncic for $2 and it doesn't move. Basketball, I feel it's got to be color, and I don't know. But I've got some new basketball inventory, so maybe there will be some basketball in my store soon. Shane says, the funny thing about basketball cards is 20 years ago when I was working at a card store, prices and volume for NBA back then was crap too. Now, 20 years later, it's still crap and probably being passed. There was a span of about 5 years where basketball was huge. I mean, you could sell base rookies for like $5 a pop. And the funny thing is, the basketball peaked in the hobby, at least in from my own experience, before the biggest peak in the hobby, which we saw probably in early 2022. By the end of 2021, basketball, I started seeing the decline in the summer pre-national 2021. And then I bought all those slabs thinking, oh, this is just the off season. Give it a couple months and it's going to shoot back up. And it never shot back up. And I had to scratch and claw to basically break even on that. And I think I got very lucky. If I would have waited any longer, I would have lost my ass on those basketball slabs. Value Box disagrees. All the kids at the shows want football. They don't care about NBA. That was 2020. Rich says, once that TV series ended, then F1 went back to where it was. Nick says, fast money left NBA. Yes. Collectible investments. I realized I had a different eBay account on every device. Combined them, and now I got to figure out how to change my name back to Brian. Max says, F1 was free. Tendies are readily available for the hype guys. Notice many of those guys are gone now. Shane says he returned because a base wrestling card wouldn't gem. Yes, I think you found a top 10 eBay tool. And unfortunately, there's a lot of tools. Like there was a Nolan Arenado. I sold like a Nolan Arenado for like $2 that returned it because it wasn't going to gel. It's like, come on. Are you fucking kidding me? Joe Caprino, what's up? A Asian lives in my neighborhood. And he's going off to greener, as in Benjamin's pastures in Lincoln, Nebraska. Rich says, I'm with NIL changes. Those kids were underpaid forever and a day. I agree. Max says, no, 8K is not a high school grad class. Dan says, I think my high school class started with close to 400, finished with about 180. Holy shit. We started with my 8th grade graduating class was 40. We fell to 35. I think we had we had 2 held back. We had probably 2 drop out, maybe 1 move away. We might have had a couple of dropouts. I can't remember. Shane says, I'm thinking he meant 800. That's what 800's got to be. 8,000 is like college. Orlando, what's up? Yes. Oh, Virginia. Yes. College graduation. Brian said we had like 1,300 graduating in 1994. Class of 94 smokes more. Not the best slogan for future success. I don't remember what we were. Class of 2000. Not much rhymes with 2000. Let's see. Uncle Rich said the population of Allen, Texas is over 5K, and that's just for grades 10 through 12. Brian says, my name is back. I did it. John says, Allen Eagles. Bruce Springsteen's glory days says it all. Rich says, a great radio bit would be Parenthood by Bo. Don't follow that advice. Flawed Thinker says, my wife was voted class clown and I was voted coolest car. I was certainly not. We didn't have very many cool cars in my graduating class. Jason had a Firebird. That was pretty cool. Trying to think of who else. My buddy Scott had a newer Monte Carlo. We didn't have any classics. A couple pickup trucks. I had a Pontiac. We had a lot of beaters. I had a Pontiac. I had an 89 Pontiac Sunbird. There were a lot of Berettas in the parking lot. Berettas were big back then. What else? Grand Ams were huge. Grand Ams and Berettas were probably the most popular high school car in my high school in the 90s. I think there was a manufacturing flaw in condoms in early 1985. Shane says, were the girls just walking around with their legs spread or what? John says, ass clown. Max says, I picture Bo being the fish swimming against the grain just because in high school. Just because. I was. I think that's a good, yeah. I would, I like to be different. I didn't like the Bulls because everybody else liked the Bulls. I didn't want to wear the popular jerseys. I wore jerseys. John says LRS is in the penalty box for 5 minutes. We don't care about Bitcoin. I loved high school, but I didn't collect sports cards during that time. So now I'm conflicted if I really did. Yeah, I did not. I was into wrestling, professional wrestling, pro wrestling. And then I got back into cards briefly my sophomore, junior year. But then my senior year, I was not into cards. I was into going out and having fun. Shane says, I've never attended a reunion. ATMs were just starting when I was in high school. We didn't have ATMs. Shane graduated in 2005. Kyle says, when I think about high school, I feel it was a huge waste of time. I think my only regret in life is I should have dropped out of high school and worked. That's what I had. And here's the thing that, not along the same lines, but similar. I didn't play sports my junior year. I was not good at sports. I liked sports, but I was not athletic. And I was fast. I was a fast runner, but I hated running. But I was short. I was skinny. I was like, my senior year, I was like 5'8", 5'9", 150 pounds, 140 pounds. Like I was just a little twerp. So I didn't play football or basketball my junior and senior year. And I remember it was my junior year because one of my friends was a year older. We were at their house, and I think it was in the summer going into my senior year. So he had just graduated high school, and his dad was the classic. His dad was the classic. Reminds me of going back to Varsity Blues earlier in the show. Johnny Moxon's dad, living on their glory days. He was the high school. This dad that from my school, he was the high school quarterback. He married the cheerleader. Their kids were really athletic. Played football. My buddy was the quarterback. His brother was like an all-state running back. So it's one of those situations, right? So I remember we were watching, I don't like fishing. They were big into outdoors, and I was just there. We were watching something. We were talking about football, and Dad goes, "You going out for football this year?" And I said, "No, I'm going to work." I was working at IGA. I made good money. I was the richest kid in high school because I had basically a full-time job. Doc Martens weren't cheap. I said, "No, I'm going to work." And he's like, "You only got one chance to play high school football. You can work the rest of your life." Good point. I'm glad I worked. I think high school football is great if the student athlete enjoys it. Doesn't even have to be good at it. If he enjoys it and if he gets something out of it. I did not get anything out of it because I hated it. I played football my freshman and sophomore year and in junior high. Freaking hated it. I loved football. I loved playing backyard football. But I didn't like playing organized high school football. I wasn't good. I was small. And I just didn't enjoy it whatsoever. And I think I learned as much or more at the grocery store because there's a lot in high school sports that you can use in real life as an adult. Teamwork. You can learn a lot of business skills from teamwork playing organized sports. Leadership skills. You can learn a lot. You can also learn that working at the grocery store, working at Walmart, working for a farmer, working anywhere. You can learn those same types of skills in a job that, yes, I can't go back and play high school football, but I can go work somewhere. Because you do work the rest of your life. But isn't playing high school football work? It's a lot of work. A lot more work than bagging groceries and punching the cash register. And I do feel I learned more. I think I took out more. This isn't for everybody. For me personally, I learned more working at the grocery store as a high school student that prepared me for adulthood than what I would have taken in playing high school football. And that's on me. Coaches were probably good. They were teaching my friends important skills. I don't think I would have listened. I don't think I would have paid attention. But I listened to my boss at the grocery store, and I learned about business skills working at the grocery store. Everybody's different. There's not a cookie cutter that each one of us. Max doesn't like Pearl Jam. That's okay. Even though it's the greatest band in the history of music. But a lot of people will disagree with that. And that's okay. We're not cookie cutter, and that's good. That's what makes the world turn. Not everybody is going to benefit from high school football. Not everybody is going to benefit from working at the IGA. Everybody's different. Brian has not begun to peak. That's good. We like that. John says Kyle isn't wrong. He says, no dot Donruss sell all day as well. No dot. I sold a Hal Morris the other day. Shane says the only basketball I sell is 90s inserts. Any modern crap, it just sits. Now I'm to the point where if a decent amount of NBA is in it, I skip it for lots. I am the same way. And I'm glad we're an hour 25, but it's very nostalgic. We've got almost 200 people between Twitter and YouTube watching, so we'll keep rolling. I do want to show off some of the stuff that I bought yesterday. But when I'm looking at basketball and I'm like, good God. I looked up, there was a LaMelo Ball, one of the boxes that I was looking at last night. LaMelo Ball rated rookie from Optic. And I'm like, oh, this is a $5 bill. And I look it up. It's like, this is like a $2 card. And it's like, who would be a baseball? I don't know a baseball comp to LaMelo Ball. And I know LaMelo Ball stuff is not as sought after now as it was when he was a rookie. So whoever was in that rookie class with LaMelo Ball on the baseball side, maybe it's the same. I don't know. But I thought, and maybe I'm just, not thinking straight because I'm just not aware of the basketball market. But I see the basketball and it's like, oh God, do I even want to take the time to list this? Maybe I just list. but I don't want to list it at auction because this is actually the same guy that I bought the basketball stuff that I ran on 99-cent auctions, a lot of the relics and autos, and they sold for 99 cents. It's like, oh shit, not doing that anymore. Max says the pre-COVID hierarchy was 1 baseball, 2 by a bit basketball, 3 by quite a margin football. Pre-COVID, baseball and I think I agree with that completely. Because I would say baseball was probably number 1, but basketball was right behind. Basketball, and there were times where basketball was king for a brief period. But I would agree with that. Number 1 baseball, by a bit basketball, and by quite a margin football. And then once we got into COVID, it kind of switched, and basketball took over as number 1 for a brief period of time, but it faded fast. And then football kind of took over as the number 1. And baseball was kind of left for dead. And it's like, is baseball going to come back? But baseball, I would say the baseball market has not experienced the drastic roller coaster that basketball and football has in the hobby. I think baseball's held pretty steady. Flawed Thinker got a $25 coupon for Fanatics Live. Got into a case break of 24 Chrome Black. Got the Blue Jays for $25. Only paid $5 for shipping. Pulled a Vlad Jr. Depth of Darkness SSP. How's that for $5? Woo. John says Michael Porter Jr.'s family did the opposite of peaking last week. Listed it for $400. Nice. Max says the only thing that sold for football was Prism, Contenders, National Treasures, rookie quarterbacks. Brian says my buddy in high school had a 1991 Toyota Supra Turbo. Wow. I learned how to drive a stick on that car. Good times. Porter says we are the smoke-free class of 2000. Yes, we were. I was trying to think of the real, like that was the real version. And I remember we had that. I didn't realize that was like nationwide. That was like a nationwide thing. The smoke-free class of 2000. We had my dentist, rest in peace, Dr. Tom. As you walked into the dentist office in Anawan, there was a photo. It was a group photo of my class in kindergarten, and it said the drug-free class of 2000. It might have been, I don't know if it was smoke-free or drug-free. Smoke-free class of 2000, and that hung in his like forever. He might have had it there until we graduated. I don't remember, but yes, we were the smoke-free class of 2000. I took that to heart. I never smoked a cigarette. To this day, I've never smoked a cigarette. Now, have I smoked a little funny cigarettes? Yeah, I've smoked some funny cigarettes in my life, but I've never smoked a Marlboro. I've never smoked anything that you can buy over the counter. Well, now you can buy them over. Now you can buy the funny cigarettes over the counter in some states, not in Wisconsin. Kyle says a fellow student taught me how to weld in high school. Besides that, my 3.5 years in high school taught me 0 skills that I still use. That's interesting. I feel like I learned a lot in high school. There were certain classes where I didn't learn shit, but I feel like I learned some life skills. You know, the funny thing is, and how terrible I am. Like I cannot do anything when it comes to I wish I could turn the camera around, because right behind where the camera is, the deck posts, there's these things called sonotubes. You know what those? I don't know what those are, but they're these giant cardboard things that are at the base of our deck posts, and they're eyesores. So I was looking out yesterday. I'd shipped, and I'm like, it was sunny. It was decent day, and I'm looking out, and I'm like, I asked my wife, and I'm like, what are we going to do with those sonotubes that are at the base of the deck? And she's like, well, our general contractor was supposed to cut them off. He never did. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go get my knife. And they're like freaking thick cardboard. And I'm like, with like a freaking pocket knife. And I don't have a chainsaw. I can't use power tools. I'd freaking cut my leg off if I had a chainsaw. So I'm like, we got to have like somebody chainsaw that thing. But even though I can't use power tools, I learned a lot from my shop classes that I took. Probably learned the most from the business management class. My teacher, also rest in peace, Mr. Cates. My senior year, I took ag business management and ag machinery. Ag machinery, we had to build some piece of farm equipment. What Kyle's gonna know what the hell this is. Like a till. It's one of those giant like rakes that has those like big things that do that. You put it behind a tractor. It's like a trailer, but it's got these discs and it tills the fields. One of those things. We had to build one of those. Not my forte. I had to we had a woodworking project. Not my forte. Got an F. I was getting an F in ag machinery. I was getting an A nearly perfect grade in ag business management. We knew the direction I was going to go. I was not going to be in the field. I was not going to be putting together farm equipment. John says, can we all agree that peak doucheness is the lawn sign celebrating kids graduating from preschool, elementary school, and middle school? It's proud parents, I guess. I would agree with John, but hey, to each their own, right? I loved high school and college, would go back in a heartbeat. So this is I'm surprised. I did not expect to see that from Max. I loved high school and college. Would I go back? I don't know. I don't think I would go back. Would I go back just to experience? I don't even know if I would do that. So I was the guy with the camcorder at parties. I was that guy with the blonde tips and the puka shell necklace and the backward visor with the camcorder. Hey, say hi to the camera. Drinking my old Milwaukee Light. I still have those tapes. No, you can't watch them. I went out to the Goodwill when my wife was in Florida. It was it might have been during COVID. My wife's like, fuck it, I'm getting out of here. I'm going to Florida with her mom. And I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. Nothing's open. I can't go anywhere. I am going to buy a VCR and I'm going to play these old VHS, camcorder tapes. And I did. Bought a VCR for like $5 at Goodwill. Brought it home. Popped in a tape. It was from a party at my buddy Bill and Chuck lived in an apartment just up the street from me. And it was probably a random Tuesday night where we had like 20 people over just partying. And I watched about 10 minutes of it. And I'm like, I can't watch any more of this. So I would say, would I go back to like the ghost of Christmas past? And it's like, I don't know, like the past is the past and I just want to keep it there. So I don't know if I want to go back. John says, I was towards the tail end of girls majoring in typing and home ec and boys taking wood shop, the Stone Age. We had typewriting class. Our typing class was on typewriters my freshman year. I think I was the last class that had to take typing on typewriters with Betty Kay, and I'm sure she's dead. Mrs. Knudsen. She was an old hag. Rest in peace, Mrs. Knudsen. But I bet she was the teacher that she was an old hag in school, but I bet she was probably a pretty cool old lady outside of school. One of those types of teachers. Where she just has to play a hard ass in school as a teacher. But we basically had your choice, home ec or ag. Like freshman year, you took home ec or basic ag. So, and boys took ag, girls took home ec. So yeah, it was still semi-Stone Age for me in the 90s. Shane says, sadly, my nephew is on a summer baseball team, and there is a kid on the team that is forced to play by his dad. You can tell he hates it and doesn't want to play. It's super sad. That sucks, man. Let your kids do what they want. If they want to play with Barbies, let your boy play with Barbies. Let your girl play with a football. Let them play with a freaking tuba if they don't want to play goddamn summer baseball. Let them do whatever the fuck they want. Parenthood by Bo. There you go, Uncle Rich. You can learn the same shit in band that you can in sports. Agree. 100%. Band, chess, whatever. All the same. Orlando says, was high school nerd, collected cards, and was on the bowling and chess teams, old nerd now. And we all unite. Cooter says, bruised my spinal cord playing high school football. Came very close to being paralyzed. Oh, shit. Was a crazy experience I would have been happy to avoid. Absolutely. Shane would have been happy to join his bowling team. I didn't get into bowling till after school. Nick says, I'm a high school coach. I agree with that parent. You have the rest of your life to work, but only a really small window to experience high school athletics. John says, Orlando, I was happy to be with the old nerd crowd last Friday night. I bet I had more fun than the high school football star. Uncle Rich, how far behind are we? Only 12 minutes. I did a lot of alumni interviews, and almost all of them were lacking real-life work experiences. Orlando averaged 180 in bowling and once bowled over 250. I don't think I've ever bowled a 180. Of course, I've not bowled that often. I think like when I was bowling in probably high school, we bowled frequently just for something to do. And I think I might have bowled a 160 once. I think that was probably the highest score ever. But if I went to the bowling alley today, I would probably bowl like an 80 if I'm lucky. George says, just live. You'll probably learn. I've learned more from YouTube in the last couple of years than I did from all 16 or 17 years of school I did. And that's like, and now we can choose like on YouTube and kids can do this as well. Like we didn't have the internet when some of us did. I had the internet was just coming on when I was in high school, but it wasn't like, we certainly didn't have YouTube. We didn't have, we had a text. We could read. It was basically a book on the computer is our internet in the 90s. But today you can do so much shit. I would give a better recommendation to kids who actually had a summer job. 90s inserts. Time to dig through my old basketball cards, Brian says. Bo is like butter. He's on a roll. Next, I'll mention the other side of the pillow. I didn't realize this many card collectors hated school. John says, hard to comp NBA NFL draft hype to MLB hype. That's true. Shane says, for some reason, when I list, they sell pretty quick. Oh, this is a good comp. LaMelo Ball is Is it Robles? Victor Robles. That's a good comp. I like it. Orlando had a great time. John says there isn't much MLB draft hype. There's not because it's so different because MLB draft, you get drafted and you're not going to be in a Major League Baseball uniform for 4 years. You get drafted in the NFL, you're going to be on the field 6 months later. NBA, 6 months later. MLB, 48 months later. There have been some quicker to MLB. Zach Neto. If you're drafted by the Angels, you have a faster path. Nolan Schanuel and Zach Neto. George loved school. I just don't remember a damn thing from it. I'm kind of in the same boat there. Max says, not up for debate. That's what it was. Shane says, and some surprise you with price, had a Grant Hill rookie that sold for about $5 and then had the same rookie, but was a die cut, corner cut, rounded, worth like 60. See, I need to pay more attention to some of those 90s things because some of that stuff has crazy value. That dude from Duryea, what's up? 1995 must have been the smoke-filled class. At least mine was. Shane says, when you said you have not yet begun to peak, that totally reminded me of Dennis from It's Always Sunny when he gets mad at Dee because she said he's past his peak. Bradley says, current sports players are overhyped. How can somebody pay more than $200 for a Jordan Love rookie after one season of production? Silly prices. Buy vintage. It's a tale as old as time. It's a tale as old as time. And we have seen it for decades, and we will continue to see it for more decades. And Jordan Love rookies will only go down from here, more than likely. Let's see. Brian is digging out some inserts. He was totally quoting Dennis. Tool time with Bo. Combine, Disker, not a combine, maybe a Disker. Some type of plow, maybe. I don't know. A disc plow, is that a thing? I don't know. Tool can have multiple meanings in that phrase. John says, anything learned from Mr. Barsman? I learned not to fuck with your elders with Mr. Barsman. Respect your teachers was the lesson learned from Bozzy. Ever make it to the top of the rope? And has making it to the top of the rope ever elevated anyone's stat? We never did the rope climb. We did RPE. We did line dancing. That's what you get in near Anawan, Illinois. Line dancing. We did gymnastics. I think we found a report card from first time I got a D in PE because I couldn't do shit on anything with gymnastics. We played roly-boly underneath the library, downtown Anawan, uptown Anawan. We did archery. We played pickleball. Back before pickleball was cool, we played pickleball. Of course, dodgeball. We played hockey. Hockey was fun because sometimes we would body check into the bleachers. That was fun. Shane says, Kyle, I took some skills from high school. Like how to write a check. Consumers ed. There's not, and I don't know. And we were actually talking about this when we went into the Cubs game a couple weeks ago with my buddy Scott. He's in finance. We were talking about high school, and I really enjoyed consumers ed. You learn how to balance a checkbook. Do you have to balance a checkbook today? No, you just go online and look at your account. But it was a 1 semester course. And that was it. That was like the only adult education you got in my school. And I know other schools, we were a very small school, so we had limited resources. But I think there should have been a little less Shakespeare, although that would, if you paid more attention to Shakespeare in high school, you'd get pretty good at Jeopardy. Shakespeare's always on Jeopardy as a category. But there were some classes where it's like, let's have a little more opportunity to learn about and a little less. I will say, and I don't want to like point out certain algebra, and I know I was a big algebra hater. Algebra would really help you. Like if you can do like algebra, like you can do a lot of shit. I'm finally learning that. Like, man, I should have paid closer attention in those classes. John says, I like being in the womb, but turns out your station in life is always changing. Max says, why are you surprised to hear that from me? I didn't have to worry about grades, so always had fun. I'm surprised. Based on everything else that you comment on, I just figured you would not have liked high school. Jeff Spicoli was the last person to live their best high school life. I don't think we can disagree with that. Kyle says high school needs to teach more financial literacy than writing a check. Shane surviving, but barely. Brian's in the house. What's up? The specifics of what we learned in high school is outdated. The life skills that you learned is really reading, following directions, and math. That's a really good point. Max says, wait, how the fuck is LaMelo Ball to Victor Robles a good comp? LaMelo is a top 20 to 30 NBA player. Robles was never close to that. Okay, maybe it's not a good comp. I thought it was good. I didn't know LaMelo. Okay. I don't follow basketball. I don't follow the NBA. If I had to list, okay, Bo, name the top 5 players in the NBA. I'd be like LeBron, Luka, Victor Wembanyama. Who else is really good? Is Kyrie Irving? Is he up there? Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Steph Curry. That would be my list. That's 6. And there's probably going to be people that watch the NBA like, no, LeBron's not a top 50 player. I just don't follow the NBA. So I guess maybe Victor Robles is not a good comp. People buy current players to flip and make money. Tough to flip vintage unless you get it for under market. Absolutely. Vintage dealers are the worst. They are much tighter. They are much tighter on the on the sale. Stuff skills is when you go to type a sentence and then delete it to type a new one, but you don't delete everything from the old sentence. Brian says, I have a question about eBay and sold listings. How long does it take for a listing to be removed from active listings after it has sold? How long does it take for a listing to be removed from active listings after it was sold? Should be immediately. So I don't understand the question. I think I do, but I might not. So say I list this Yordan Alvarez and it sells. It should be, it's no longer active. As soon as it's bought and paid for, it's no longer active. I think that's the question. Max says, one of my favorite classes at Madison was Shakespeare, but the best was Nazi culture. Probably the most interesting lectures I've heard on anything. That is interesting. George, what's going on? Good morning. John says, my youngest was lucky to learn CAD and have CNC machines to encourage his engineering habits in high school. He gets his engineering degree in 2 weeks. The system worked for him. We did have, was it drafting in high school? We didn't have CAD though. I think it was just the giant drafting tables. And it was, when I was in school, it was like that transition period of we entering the computer aided drafting phase and moving away from like the giant drafting tables. So our drafting classes, and I think Mr. DeConnick was the draft, and he retired like when I was in, and I think when he retired, it wasn't offered anymore. So I think maybe only my freshman, sophomore year, it was a class that was offered. And it was one of those elective classes that usually 3 people were in the class. When I was in school, I'm sure in the 80s, it was much larger classes, early 90s still. By the late 90s, it was kind of a thing of the past, and computer aided drafting was not yet, available. And we just didn't have the staff at our school that could teach it. Max says, weird. I loved high school and college. The only bad thing about Madison was the liberal cesspool that surrounded the campus. I'm okay with liberals and conservatives as long as they're not over the top. Doesn't matter which way. Just be cool. John says, I have yet to put my spot welding skills learned in 1983 in the wild. And yet my nephew is like a freaking rock star welder. However, I don't think he learned welding in school. He learned it on his own or from his dad, my brother. But he's an awesome welder. Max loves LeBron. Not anymore. So not a top 5 player. Paul Carl, what's going on? Kids can barely even read these days, let alone be financially literate. Might be a hot take. I don't know. I don't have kids. I'm not around kids. Here's the thing. I'm going to take this to, maybe I am a little bit knowledgeable on this because I'm at card shows few times a month. And let me tell you, there's some really financial literate kids running around card shows with cards. Now, I'm sure that doesn't represent the majority. But what I see at card shows, it's not kids like trying to flip quarter cards and, they're done. Like they're freaking like most kids that come by my table or that I see and over here, like they're really smart when it comes to finances and comps and, I'll do this and that. I'm very impressed with the youth in the hobby. I don't know if that's, I'm sure others not in the hobby, maybe they're not as up to it, but hey, there's a good teaching moment. What's up? Ray from Philly in the house. Max says, Luka. Oh, Giannis. Oh, of course. Oh, Nikola Jokic. Okay. Now that you drop names, okay. So I'll stand by Luka. I'll replace whoever I said. Giannis, Jokic. Is it Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Joel Embiid. Yeah, I know him. Brian says, so I sold a card and it is still in my active listings a few days later. I can still search for it and find it in my listings. Did you have quantity on it? So that shouldn't happen unless you had quantity or it was canceled or something it wasn't paid for. I'm not sure. That's what my first thought is you had quantity. You had 2 listed in the listing. Mike Petty's in the house. We had a printing class where we had to set type. How about a class on how to buy a house, right? Accounting. Like, we had 0 accounting classes in my high school. Now, I know that my high school is probably not a representative of the average high school in America, because it's enrollment, and it was higher enrollment when I was in school at 160. And I honestly don't know what's offered today. But I wish we would have had more accounting classes in school. John says, and I'm amazed your small school had hand drafting. That's impressive. Uncle Rich says, this helps to take my mind off what is occurring at my alma mater. Nothing like a university being basically shut down. That's not good. Max says, shit, most adults can't read. That's true. There's some truth to that. Mike says, let's teach more algebra because we use that every day. All they need to know is cost and profit. John says, happy Passover to those who celebrate. Yes, we are having a non-Seder Seder tonight. The notorious MIL is back from Florida, so she's hosting this evening. And my wife says, my mom's gonna host. And I think it's just like 5 of us, and I'm like, as long as we do like the full Seder, that's a joke. It's like I pick and choose. Like, I think we're gonna go to this for Passover. It's like, I don't know. I'm behind on shipping. I gotta stay home. It's like, okay, this one, okay, we'll do a fast Seder there. My mother-in-law is quick Seder. I think we probably wouldn't even do a service if it weren't for grandma. So we do it for grandma. Brian says, at least around here, high schoolers are being taught financial literacy really well, and many are better than their parents at it. Bradley says, hot take, Tatum will choke in the playoffs. Max says, not a hot take. He always chokes. Cooter says, my high school accounting class is what led me to become a CPA. Interesting. Brian says, no quantity listed. It happens to all of my listings since I opened my store. I called eBay years back and they told me I just need to manually delete the act. No. That's really bizarre. That should not happen. And whoever from eBay that told you that is a fucking numbskull, because that's not how things work on eBay. It's not how things work. I don't know why that's happening. Brian says, not sure if it's the same in all states, but my kids are taking free college classes while in high school and get both high school and college credit. Yes, we had those opportunities when I was in high school. Opens them up to an almost unlimited course offering. We did have some of that. Now, obviously, ours were very limited, being in a small school, but we had like some co-op agreement with the community college. And I don't think we... probably the same as what you have, where like it's the high school teacher, but it also counts toward college credit. It transferred to like a certain, whatever schools were in the system. I don't know. I wasn't in those classes. J2 Detroit says, I remember when I took my first finance class in college, I immediately thought, why isn't this taught in high schools? 100%. Now, I was a little older when I went back and was taking more business classes. But when I thought the same thing, like, why are we not teaching? I wish I would have known this 10 years ago. Where are we at? Shane wants to know, what the hell is a Passover? So Passover is a Jewish holiday. So my father-in-law, rest in peace, when it came to, I think, the first Passover that I was with my wife, he told me, watch the 10 Commandments. So basically, Passover tells the story. Uncle Rich, I'm on Wikipedia right now. Uncle Rich can probably tell you more accurately and more concise than I can, reading off of Wikipedia. According to the book of Exodus, God commanded Moses to tell the Israelites to mark a lamb's blood above their doors so that the angel of death would pass over them. They would not be touched by the 10th plague of Egypt, the death of the firstborn. After this plague, Pharaoh ordered the Israelites to leave, taking whatever they wanted, and asked Moses to bless him in the name of God. The passage goes on to state that the Passover sacrifice recalls the time when God passed over the houses of the Israelites in Egypt. Now, there's a Seder that goes with Passover. Let me see. So, and the Seder has different things you do. Where's the Seder? There's different things that represent different things. See, I forget this. And then I remember. And then it's like, oh, yes. Okay. I'll have Uncle Rich explain it because it'd be more accurate than me. Zach and Porter says, everything starts at home with kids. Amen. Brian says, that is very true. Parents need to take responsibility for teaching their children as well. John says, my son went into college with 17 college credits. That advantage disappeared immediately after he joined a fraternity. Paul says, if the active listing showing 0 quantity out of stock, if that's the case, it's a setting that you can turn off in account settings. John says, Brian, not sure how that happens. We're all using the same platform with the same software coding. So strange. It is. I don't think I've ever heard anybody have that issue. Max says, you couldn't steer him away. Hated frat boys with a passion. Cooter says, almost 200 combined viewers, 2 hours in. Crazy. I've got 199 on my counter up here. John took Spanish 2 3 times, and it hasn't helped me in my travels abroad. I didn't take any Spanish classes in high school. It was not required. I think it's acquired. I think it's required now. But when I was in high school, we did not have to take foreign language. We did offer, and this was a local town, very small town. I think they had graduating classes of like between 8 and 12 every year. Their school closed down because they had graduating classes of 8 and 12 each year. So my class gained 1 student from Neponset. But some of the lower grades in high school, when I was in high school, like freshmen, sophomore, juniors, it added about 20 total students, I think. Maybe not quite, maybe 15. But one of the teachers that came over to my school was a French teacher. So we added French to the curriculum. I did not take that either. Brian says, these days, many of the classes are online and are taught by college professors, not high school teachers, i.e. not AP classes, but actual college classes. Interesting. We did not have that, but we didn't have that. We didn't have online classes. Ray from Philly, just a reminder, don't forget to vote on the Baseball Card Hall of Fame. Yeah, absolutely. Uncle Rich says, Passover basically celebrates the Jewish slaves leaving Egypt. See, and that's much more concise than me trying to find it on Wikipedia. Concise and to the point. Mike Petty took German for 3 years, and all I learned was how good German beer is. Game of Thrones was more realistic than the Torah or Bible. Hotter chicks as well. I'm a big Emilia Clarke fan. I agree. Uncle Rich says, and the reason we don't eat bread during Pesach, I don't know how to pronounce that, is there was no time to have bread made, so it's unleavened. I'll be your Spanish translator, John. Take me, and I won't bet your money like Otani. John Myers in the house. Do you keep yourself to a strict routine when processing a collection? I easily get sidetracked and can lose track of time when processing a collection. This is a really good point, and we're finally getting to the topic of the day, 2 hours in. This is a really good point because I found myself yesterday being very distracted and getting sidetracked. I would like to, but I think that's the ADD working in my brain or not working in my brain. I try to, ideally what I would do to process a collection, I have this box behind me. I showed you the refractors, and I pulled the refractors because I have a refractors box. Now I'm going to have a second box. I've got my Cubs pile because I still pull Cubs. I'm like, I don't need to do this anymore. I have 1 million Cubs cards. I don't need to pull any more Cubs, but I can't stop. It's like, well, I got to keep my Cubs separate. I will be listing Cubs from this collection that I already have, but I'm still putting them on the side. And then I pull, the players that I pull for one of my customers at card shows: Jeter, Bichette, Acuna, Trout, those guys. I've got a separate pile, and then I've got a pile and what I try to do is, okay, these are going to be my base $1.75 cards. But then I've got a lot of like chromium finish, like the Topps Finest, Bowman Chrome. Those don't scan as well. And then I have like color stuff. Typically my floor is 250. So I'll have a pile of that stuff so I can keep it simplified when I bulk list. These are all $1.75. So I don't have to go adjust. I don't have to go in and adjust the price. But autos will, usually my autos for like Topps Chrome, that's going to be like $5. So I'll have but sometimes I comp those. So those are going to be in a separate pile. So that's ideally what happens. But sometimes there's so much stuff and I get ADD. It's like, ooh, what's in this box? What's in that box? And then I get sidetracked. So yes. Do I have a strict routine? No. Do I have a routine? Yes, but I don't always stick to it. Good morning, Johnny M. Barely made it through high school. Never mind college. Made more money selling drugs in high school than the teachers were making. Well, hey, you learned a business skill. John says, my kid took Latin in high school. I was hoping he'd be a gladiator. Uncle Rich took French. Something about Catherine Deneuve. Mike Petty is one of my favorite people, says John. Orlando is one of my favorite people. Mike laughs. Orlando hearts. Brian says, we better be wrapping up soon. I'm not getting any work done. I still have to show off some of the cards. Zach and Porter says, how have you not had to go to the bathroom yet? I've almost finished. I've finished my cup of coffee. And I've almost finished my tub of coffee. But I don't have to go. Or have you? Maybe I have. It's like, I think I'm going to go long today. I'm going to wear my diapers today. John says, you're the only person that buys Cubs cards. Why the hell would you list them? Good point. Brian says, I wonder how many different cards are produced of each team every season. You can kind of get an idea going to Trading Card Database. I think you can go search by team and then narrow it down to year. And that might give you, let's do that. I have like 400 orders to ship, and here I am rambling for 2 hours. Okay, let's go to my collection. Here, let's just screen share it. You've seen my ugly mug for 2 hours. All right. So here's TCDB. I love Trading Card Database. Don't use it as often as I should. So let's go baseball. We're looking at stats by top teams. Chicago Cubs. So I've only logged 8,870, of which 3,378 are unique. And there's your Chicago Cubs total unique, 216,725. So now let's go to, now here's where I don't know what I'm doing. So this is just my collection. Damn. Let's do a search for Chicago Cubs overview. So yeah, and so now let's do 2023. Now it's weird how there's like 2020, 2021, 2021, 2022. So let's just do 2023. Chicago Cubs. 11,038 cards, unique cards for the Chicago Cubs in 2023. Now, let's go to the New York Yankees. And I bet the Yankees have 20,000. What's your guess? How many Yankees cards, unique, were made in 2023? A little over 11,000 Cubs cards. And I think it's going to be not quite double for the Yankees. 2023. And the answer is 18,153. So there you go. So that's not going to be entirely 100% accurate, but it gives you a gauge. It gives you a kind of a guide. Where are we at? Let's see. Harlan says 2 hours in and still going. What's the time record? I think the longest we did was 2.5. I think there was a 2.5 hour show. My little grosbeaks are back, checking out their nest. I'm like, what the fuck? There's been a robin in this nest. Max says, why would he have to go to the bathroom? Drink a lot of coffee. John says, thank you for the insight. I think part of the joy in the hobby is discovering the stuff I've never seen or am amazed at. Huge fan of your live streams. Thank you. I appreciate that. Bradley says, hey. Zach and Porter says, middle-aged man, drinking coffee, mid-morning, and I don't count on Bo taking the correct prep prior to hitting the go live button. I do pee when I wake up. 18,000 or Volpe parallel, one of ones. Max says, gotcha. I maybe go once in the morning after waking up, but I'm pretty positive I have a large bladder compared to most. Most nights at the bar, I would never go. Well, there you go. Now we know a little more about Max than we cared to like. So here's a box. So this is a bulk. I'd say it's a combination bulk and collection. It's not really a collection, but it's not your typical bulk buy. So here's the history, the background of this purchase. Tim is who I bought it from. He lives in Northern Illinois. I think this is one of those scenarios that people ask, how do you buy collections like this? How do you find these? And actually, Tim and I talked about this yesterday. We were just talking about, I think I was talking about like my business. And he was like asking about card shows. And I'm like, basically the only reason I set up at card shows is more for networking and like as a buyer. Like what I make at card shows is like pennies on the dollar. Than like, and it's more so to network, meet other dealers, buy Cubs. I'm the Cubs guy. Hey, you got Cubs cards? Go to that guy. And like last week, I found that I got that Santo came up to me. I got the Wood Pryor came up to me. I've had an old Judge come up to me at a great price. This was a situation where Tim came to this was the big Midwest premiere at the Indoor Sports Center a couple years ago. And he was looking to sell off his bulk. And a lot of it was the basketball, relics, autos, RPAs of lower name guys. And they're like, this guy, go to Bo. He buys bulk. So establishing yourself as a dealer that buys, if this is what you're looking for, go set up at card shows and let people know, hey, I'm buying. And once you start buying and you establish relationships with sellers, could be a dealer, could be a guy walking off the street. I've bought multiple times now from people that I've just found through Steve from Craigslist 7 years ago. And we still do deals together. Tim, this was 2.5 years ago. Somebody said, go to Bo. We do a parking lot deal. Get it done. He reaches out to me this week. He's like, hey, I've got all this stuff. There's a lot of good stuff. I just don't have the time. I'm moving. I don't want to move it. Are you interested? And I'm like, I'm always interested, but let's talk what it is and how much. Because that could make me uninterested. So Friday night, he sends me some videos and he sends me some photos of what he has. And just based on looking at that, and he gave me I'm like, what's the price range? Because I don't want him to drive all the way here. I don't want to drive all the way there. I don't want to meet halfway. And it's just stuff I don't want. Because right now I've got a ton of bulk, a ton of base Bowman rookies. Like, I don't need any of that stuff. I have so much that's unlisted that's either going to go in quarter boxes, or it's going to be bulked out because I've got enough. And now I need to be, I'm over 50,000 active listings. I'm getting closer to 60,000. I've got to be selective with what I list. And, instead of dollar cards and $2 cards, I want $5 cards and $10 cards. Now, there's a lot of $1 and $2 cards in here, but this whole box that I shared, and he was showing me videos, and I'm like, and then he gives me the price, and I'm like, and I'll share the numbers. So he said, I'm looking 1,500 to 2,000. And so I'm like, okay, there's got to be some good stuff in there. And he shows like some cards, but you can't really get a good idea. And these are 3-row shoe boxes. And I looked again on Sunday morning before he came, And I honestly thought, like, looking what I thought was in here, what I thought was in this collection, I'm like, I'm probably gonna offer 500. And um, I think 1,000 is too much. Maybe we settle somewhere in 700, 800. Because I told him up front, like when he shared the number, I'm like, I took a look. I don't think I'm close to 1,500. He says we can talk about that. I'll drive up to you and we can discuss. Okay. So set a couple tables up in my garage, put all the stuff on. I go through this, and it might have been this first box, and I go through, and it's like, okay, Cody Bellinger Topps Chrome rookie. I don't know what those go for. I'll look it up, but here's a Roberto Alomar auto, numbered out of 99. Chance Adams, rookie auto to 150. Adams rookie auto to 99. Now, Chance Adams, not a big seller, but when you have, here's a Nick Solak auto. Here's our Nick Solak auto to 50. Here's a no-name, there's some no-name Bowman Chrome autos that are probably going to be $5 and I'll take best offer. So there's stuff like that. There's a lot of serial number. Here's some more rookie autos of, a few bucks, maybe I start them at 5 and I get offers. Yasmani Tomas purple, first purple Chrome. Here's an Inception number orange out of 25 auto. Here's another one. Must have been redemptions. So there's a little bit of here's I love this one. Eloy numbered out of 50 auto. You got first Bowman green, Sean McClain non-auto. So there's a lot of a lot of color, a lot of autos. And I start going through the first box and I'm like, okay, there's a little more value than what I had expected. He had also showed there's a bunch of box sets like what you get at Walmart or Target, going back to like 2015 or 2015, I think, and including the 2018. And he had mentioned in the video, and he's like, the 2018 set sells for, 200 plus. And I'm like, what? I looked it up. I'm like, shit. The complete set for 2018 top sells for $200 to $250 on eBay. I'm like, damn. So when I saw that, it's like, okay. And then when I see this box, and then I go through, there's a second box like this. Like, here's a bunch of Owen White first Bowman Chrome autos, purple and a refractor and a base. Alex Verdugo rookie auto. So, I mean, there's just hundreds of autos, hundreds of relics. What's this? And here's Whit Merrifield Museum Collection. So patch autos. I haven't even seen some of these. Here's Zach Granite. That's a pretty cool patch auto, rookie auto, RPA. This is cool from National Treasures. Travis Jankowski, RPA. Yoenis Cespedes, auto out of 25. So just a lot of cool stuff. And I'm looking through this and I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of first Bowman Chrome going all the way back to like 2019. So there's a lot of good stuff. So I don't want to, we're already at 2 hours and 14 minutes. So I don't want to go too much unless you want to see more. But it's like, I can't offer 500. There's a lot more than $500 here. So, 1,500 probably was a pretty, 1,500 probably would have been a good deal. And of course, you know how I hate negotiating, but I get, like, when you have this amount of cards, this dollar price, that's when you have to negotiate. Both the seller has to get the most out of it. The buyer has to get the least out of it. Right. So, but I also don't want to do the back and forth. Shane and Max both want more cards. Okay. So, here's Sal Frelick, Bowman Sterling. So that's the thing where I'm like, okay, I'd like to pay 1,000, and I didn't want to get to 1,500. I would have, if he would have been firm at 15, I would have had to spend a lot more time looking to make sure It was doable. A lot of this stuff, it's going to take some time to get listed. A lot of it's going to be fast. So I offered 1,000, which is kind of like when it comes to this stuff. These are just base rookies. When it comes to some of this stuff, it's 1,000's like my number. So I'm like, would you take 1,000? And I didn't sell it as that's like number one. Don't say, would you take 1,000? Because that, like, the wording you use is you already have given yourself up. So here's a bunch of Volpe rookies, Josh Jung rookies, Jordan Walker rookies, Matthew Liberatore rookie out of 250. So I gave myself up and I said, would you take 1,000? And he counters back. He's like 1,200. Here's a Liberatore number 250. Here's a number to 99. Here's our old boy Willie Contreras out of 175, and he goes 1,200. He goes, I'd do 1,200, and I did it. I did what I hate. Here's a DJ LeMahieu game used Authentics relic. I did what I hate, and I said, all right, how about 11? And he goes, how about 12? And I'm like, you know what? That's fair. So we did $1,200. Here's a cool Tony Gwynn 88 All-Star relic. So I think 1,200 as I go through, and a lot of this stuff I haven't seen. I mean, here's a bunch of rookies, including Adley Rushman from Chrome, Harris, Jordan Walker, rookie refractors, Jeter Downs. What else? We got some action inserts. We got a purple chrome, Tyler Alexander. Here's a DL Hall, a 199 auto. So there's just, and I don't know how many boxes are of this type. There's probably three row shoe boxes of similar stuff like this. Here's a couple Matt Chapman first chromes. Here's a Trey Turner. I know there's a Trey Turner first chrome refractor that I did see. Here's a bunch of Luis Robert. These are all Luis Robert Topps Finest rookies. There also are some like soccer and other stuff. I think this is a soccer player. I don't know anything about soccer and hockey. Joshua Minot. I don't even know what sport he plays. I have no idea. So a lot of just a lot of stuff. Here's Antoine Griezmann. I don't know this. I've heard of him. Doesn't mean it's worth anything. Sammy Infante, first chrome auto. Couple Parker Meadows, base chrome first autos. Here's a refractor auto of Parker Meadows. Ranger Suarez, Logan Allen. Is this the former Cubs closer? So I'll put him on the side. So these are all 2018 chrome autos. These are probably like all $5 autos. Jaron Kendall, Dennis Santana. No big names there. So yeah. So it's been fun to go through it. It was a much better Kyle Stowers first chrome purple auto. Here's a Kirilloff auto to 150. There's like some orange. Here's an Evan Edwards. He's a no name, but still a first chrome orange. Is a pretty nice card. Brian De La Cruz rookie auto. These are all just autos, little lesser names. But yeah, it's been fun going through it. And it was a much better. I need to get the 2018 top set up because that's going to be a higher dollar sale, and just to recoup some of that money back. So I did list a couple things. I think I listed a Julio Rodriguez Ginter mini refractor. I listed a couple other. I think I listed like 3 or 4 cards on the couch last night. So That's some of what I have. Where are we at? Let's go wrap up the chat, and then I need to go ship. Where are we at? Shane says, finally bought a new coffee maker since the old one took a dump. Now I'm drinking more coffee than ever. I haven't tried my mushroom coffee yet. Getting out of your house and talking to people. I have way more offered to me than what I am able to handle. Yes. It blows my mind when people ask where to find stuff. Yes. I turn down way more inventory buys than what I buy. You just got to get out. And I know a lot of people, like when I say that, you got to go out and network, and people are like, well, I don't want to do that. Well, then you don't want inventory. That's a choice. If you really want it, you have to go out and talk to people. And I know not everybody likes to go out and talk to people, but that's how it works. That's the best way. Max says, set up with the same inventory you want to buy, though, too. Perfect example. Do I have people come up with Pelican cases offering me Anthony Volpe 1-of-1 autos? No. Do I have people coming up offering me Mickey Mantle 52 tops? No. Do I have people coming up offering me 86 Fleer Michael Jordan rookies? No. Do I have people coming up offering me to sell me their junk wax? Yeah. They see all the boxes that I set up with, but that's what I want. That's what I want. Does Max have people walking up to his table offering to sell him 2022 Bowman? Probably not. People don't come up to me offering to sell me Pokemon. That's exactly, yes. If you want to buy bulk inventory, take bulk inventory to a show, and people will see it and they'll be like, oh, I've got a bunch of stuff. This guy's got a lot of stuff. I want to sell him all of my stuff. Nice Cowser. Yeah. Orioles, man. Orioles just are hot. I sell the shit out of Orioles stuff. Max says, damn it, I wish I lived closer. I bet I would be able to buy $1,000 off you today. Wifey left at Target. Time for me to do my Strongsville pickup video. Have a great day. Excellent. Make sure to check out Orlando's video. Get Foscue up today. Is he a hot seller? Did he already say, I feel like this ends at 1,200? Yes, it ends at 1,200. Buyer on Parker Meadows. I've been doing great sourcing on eBay lately. Just need to scale it up more and more buys efficiently. I wish, but no. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with me. Still over 200 viewers between Twitter and YouTube. 2 hours and 23 minutes in. I thank you. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. If you are watching on Twitter, click on the link. Go to YouTube, subscribe to my channel, or at least hit the like button. Do it for me. Thank you. Hit up my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Link also in the description. A lot of what you saw and a lot more is going to be going into my store this week. I need to get caught up on some shipping, though, today. And then maybe I'll find some time to list some more from this buy. So link in the description, 99centcards.com. Like and subscribe, and we'll do this again tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Central. See you then.